and they are not the franchise that they used to be for sure. It's a joke of an organization. And they're probably, I don't know, they might get a playoff win this year. We'll see. But I was talking to Jared last night, and it's pretty obvious they need to get rid of Tomlin because it's the same cycle over and over and over again. I think Tomlin's ego is way too big to, he hasn't had a losing season his whole career. He's had one playoff win since 2016. He won one Super Bowl and lost one with Bill Cowher's roster. But it can't continue, man. The same cycle year in and year out, year in and year out. I mean, it's worse than Penn State, dude.
Yeah.
Like Penn State, they, at least they like win postseason games. You know what I mean? Like, at least they win postseason games. I mean, the Steelers, it's the same cycle year in and year out. They don't have a losing season. They lose in the first round, then they get a shitty draft pick. I mean, every year it's the same story, same song and dance.
It's like the Cowboys. Only the Cowboys were even worse this year.
Yeah, and what really pisses me off is people always talk about, I mean, Pat McAfee show, ESPN, Fox, other podcasts I listen to talk about how great Mike Tomlin is. And it's like, well, clearly you're not a Steelers fan if you think Mike Tomlin's so great. I know Stephen A. Smith, who is just kind of a clown, but, he's been on TV a long time. He's a Steelers fan, and he's always been a critic of Mike Tomlin because he knows what it's like because he's a Steelers fan. If you're, you're not calling Mike Tomlin, you're not talking about how great Mike Tomlin is if you're not a Steelers, if you're a Steelers fan. Like, you're just not. So that aspect is annoying, but anyway, to get into Penn State, Boise State, I mean, I'm looking at the kind of the matchup here, and it's I don't think it's even remotely a matchup, man. To be honest with you, like, I don't think there's any way on God's green earth that Boise can beat us. I mean, you look at their statistics in the Mountain West. Okay, they're in the Mountain West. Offensive leaders, they weren't even first. They were second behind New Mexico. Defensive leaders, they were second, which is good. Complete leaders, not even top 5. Complete leaders in yards allowed, they're not top 5. Complete leaders in rushing, they weren't even first. They were second. Sack leaders, they were first. As Brett said the last episode, they don't have the defensive line that SMU has. So, this matchup, in my opinion, isn't even remotely close. We got, we just got a better team, dude. At the end of the day, we got a better team, and our competition is much better than the Mountain West. Who have they played? I mean, that's kind of the issue right now with the college football playoff. And, Kirk Herbstreit said it, even though I think he's a total lunatic with most things. He said about, rewarding it's the most deserving versus the best. And, that is an issue with this college football playoff. I mean, it's good for us because we kind of have a fairly easy schedule right now for the playoff, if you will. We saw an SMU team who we dominated, and I think SMU is better than Boise, like Brett said himself. And then we got Boise and a neutral site, and then we got a backup QB, Georgia, unless they lose to Notre Dame. The spread is -11, over under 53.5. We're -450 to win. So, on paper, man, this is just totally an outmatched matchup. I mean, we could kill this team. Pretty much what it comes down to, man, is our offense putting up points. I think our defense will be fine. I've said it before with games that's backfired on me. Knock on wood, our defense does well. I think they will. But, at the end of the day, man, like, our defense has to show up. Our offense has to score points. We could totally shut down Ashton Genty, who is one of the best running backs in college football, in my opinion. I hope the Steelers get him in the draft. But I still think that he could put up some points, to be honest with you, man. I think, the score prediction for me is like 43-14. Like, I think they still put up some points with him. I think he probably has a couple scores. But then again, this could be a total blowout. It could be literally null on their side for Boise State. And it pretty much comes down to Ashton Genty, man. I mean, the kid's a freak. The kid can play football. He's a football player, man, through and through. So that's what it comes down to, man. That's what it comes down to. And, it's going to be a good game. And I'm looking forward to it. So it's Fiesta Bowl. We won a national title at a Fiesta Bowl in 86, 87, if you will. I think they might have. Back then, I think they played the national title in the same year. And they used to do that with the Super Bowl too. But
yeah,
just overall, man, I think it's a good matchup. But I think we're going to win convincingly. And then, again, it's going to come down to Notre Dame or Georgia. We're playing against a backup. So does Notre Dame beat Georgia? We'll see. I think we could definitely beat Notre Dame. People on TikTok think we're absolute morons for saying we can beat Notre Dame. I don't understand it whatsoever. I don't think Notre Dame is even in the same ballpark as us. But Georgia certainly is. So we'll see. But Penn State, Boise State, good matchup. Brett, what's your thoughts overall?
Yeah. I mean, if we stop the run, I mean, they're one-dimensional. I don't see them beating us passing the ball, not at all. I don't see them beating us, but if there was a recipe, I mean, we have a problem with missed tackles. So that's something that worries me a little bit, but I'm not overly worried about it because our safeties have been really good coming down. Like if our linebacker, if Tony Rojas or Don DeLuca, if somebody doesn't wrap up completely, Zakee Wheatley is there to take it. I mean, Zakee Wheatley has like 80 tackles or something. So he's been really good at that. Yeah, they're not going to have enough to beat us offensively. Their defense actually misses a lot of tackles too, just like ours. So both of our defenses they're completely different, but there's similar aspects into we both miss a lot of tackles, and that's a fact. But when it comes down to Abdul Carter off the edge and Denai Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, them boys are going to eat. We already know that. It's going to happen. One thing I do want to watch defensively for Boise, they're not overly good at defense, but they bring a lot of pressure. They'll bring like 6-7 guys. Like they'll just blitz all the time. That's why they have so many sacks. Not because their defensive line is that great. It's because they send extra guys and they get home. So I think Drew's going to be aware of that, and they're going to have to do short routes to Tyler Warren or Harrison Wallace because he's going to have to get rid of the ball. We're not going to simply have enough people on the line to stop. We're going to be outmatched number-wise when they're blitzing. So maybe put Cleo Dinkins in there to catch it up, Nick Singleton or Katron Allen to catch up some blitzes. I can see that happening. But yeah, we'll have to be aware about that. But when it comes down to throwing down the seams to Tyler Warren and the tight ends, this is something that we didn't really see against SMU because of the weather and all that stuff. But I see this being a big game for our tight ends, per usual, typically anyways. So, yeah, when I'm talking about predictions, what'd you say,
43-14.
43-14. If everything goes right, I think that's a good score.
Offense will start out slow, probably like they always do.
Yeah. And I think the good thing for us is we just played recently. Boise State, they've been off for so long that they're going to be rusty coming out. Like it's almost. I was just listening to Coach Saban talk on one of the
Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he was saying like it's going to be even harder to tackle when you don't play for that many weeks because you're not used to you're not going to be tackling in practice like that because you don't want to injure your own guys. So yeah, I think prediction. I think Drew can have a big day. I think he needs to have a big day. I don't think he has to have an incredible day. You know, we have the running backs; they're healthy and they look great. I mean, Katron and Nick have been outstanding the last 3 games. They've been very consistent, getting chunk yards and just bulldozing people. Katron's been punishing people. Nick's been punishing people, but he's really just faster than anybody, so he's just going to run by him. I like a 38-17. Like that's if I'm giving Boise some love there, saying the 17. You know, I think they'll score a few times with. I think Ashton Genty, he'll break one, right? He'll probably break one. I think we'll keep him contained most of the game, but he might have like a 30-yarder or 40-yarder. I don't see him running 60 or 70 on us. That's just not. We don't allow that to happen. When's the last time somebody's actually ran? But I mean, he is generational. Like he's a very good running back. His offensive line's not even that good. They don't do anything crazy. His vision is incredible. He makes guys miss. I mean, his yards after contact is stupid. It's like 1,900 yards. It's unreal. I mean, you can't fully stop the guy. But there was somebody saying like Ashton Genty could get like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we still beat him by 3 or 4 scores. I mean, there's a very possible way that's the world that we're going to live in. So, yeah, I'm going to say 38-17. Yeah, it's hard to predict this because they haven't played in weeks. We've never played them, so they've never played us. So that is cool that we're getting these matchups. We played SMU 3 times total now. Never played Boise State ever. So the fact that it's in a dome in Arizona, I really like that the weather's not going to be a factor at all because that then just unpredictability happens, which obviously for SMU, it was the unfortunate side. And we got, and we're used to the cold. So we got, not lucky, but, you know, some of those things went our way. But, yeah, I like how weather's not a factor in this. And I like Penn State to win big.
Yeah. Few factors here. Illicit said agree. I was thinking that's where we'll use the lineman and motion blocks. I think our run game is going to just demolish their defense. I think Katron and Singleton are just going to make them their children basically. Like it's not even close, man. They're just gonna freaking demolish this defense, our run game, I think. Georgia, for example, if we play Georgia, they're going to try to put the game in the hands of Drew Aller. I think they'll take away both the run and the pass. So that's going to be a tough thing. So for this game, what you want to do is you want to have a balance for sure. I mean, you need to get the passing game motor warmed up throughout this game for the future if we win. You got to get that motor warmed up, and then the run game, we're going to be pretty fresh. We got to stay healthy for one thing. Aller has to stay healthy. Not even going to say it. Aller needs to stay healthy. But I think our run game is going to dominate this game for sure. And then the lineman rush, I think it's just going to kind of be a bit of a warm up, if you will, for the next game. And again, I think it'll be Georgia. But, they need to treat this game. Obviously, they're going to take it very seriously. But they're going to run the ball. They're going to kill them in the run game. And then they need to also be able to pass the ball. They just need a couple just big plays in the passing game just to get their confidence up going into the Final Four. So they need to just hopefully establish some balance, but I think the run game is going to be so dominant that that's where it's going to come from. I think we're going to have at least one 100-yard back, if not 2. And then our defense, man, like between Tony Rojas and Abdul's going to be being held the whole game.
Yep.
He's going to be double teamed. They're going to have their freaking arms around his neck, doing illegal stuff. Like it's just what they have to do to him. Unfortunately, like I can't tell you how many times I've seen him come off the line and he's got an arm under his neck like this and his helmet's up.
Yeah.
It's like, you really can't do that, but they get away with it, man. Everybody does. And he's so good that it's the only way to defend him. So, but between Deny, between Tony Rojas, between Abdul, between our secondary dude, like, it's not even close. And again, like, if you want to go back and pick, who should have gotten in, Alabama probably could have gotten in. Ole Miss maybe could have gotten in, just to make these games better. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, man, like, this sucks. We're playing Boise State. Like, we should be playing someone better. Like, hell no.
It's a fun matchup.
Seriously.
We've never played them, so.
I'm taking this game seriously. They are not someone to look past. They are not.
Yeah.
And they're not an opponent that you should just be like, oh, man, why are we playing these guys? Like, no, they could compete with us. I think they could. And they could have good games. They have possibly one of the best running backs ever in college football. He's in his prime, and these guys got a lot to play for, as do we. So it's a good matchup, but at the end of the day, I think we win convincingly. So, and we'll be doing post game Tuesday night for the game. Yeah, for sure they could come play out and play us like Oregon. Yep.
At the same time, I see a lot of Boise State bringing up the Oregon game. Oregon was not Oregon at that. That was like week 2 or 3. Like, it's not the same Oregon team. I think if Oregon played Boise again, they win by double scores, easy. Obviously, we can't say that for sure, but Oregon's a different team now. We're a different team now. Boise State they're probably the same team now because they're in the Mountain West. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're a little bit better.
Oregon,
but,
Oregon was still finding themselves, like Alyssa said, but man, like, I mean, we played like shit against Bowling Green, so it happens.
And look at our rush defense compared to Oregon's rush defense. It's not even close.
No.
Oregon can't stop the run if they